So I'm back, and of course I'm bringing a Game Boy game again.
Okay, let's stop this stream.
All that Atari stuff from the past, I'm over that.
That's so
I'm
funny.
just going back to my old self. So
Right.
I found a nice Halloween-themed Game Boy game, and it's released this year, actually. And it's called Hermano. Which
Hermano.
means brother in Spanish, I think.
Yeah. Is it? Diego is the Spanish expert here, not me.
Am I?
Anyway,
well, you didn't know
it's made by the Pet Morita team.
Oh yeah, they're quite famous, aren't they?
Yeah, because they won last year. I don't know if you remember, on the Halloween episode, I brought Game Boy, the GB Compo games. And
I remember one of them was
Souls was one.
I remember.
And actually, this game was a part of that competition, and it was also the winner of that competition.
Nice.
In 2 categories, I think it was technical. Let's see. Yeah, technical. They were the highest scoring, and also the graphics. They were highest scoring. But back then it was only a demo, so I just skipped it. I thought, okay, I don't want to do anything with demos. I just want to play a full game. And then, because they were so successful in the competition, they started a Kickstarter in the beginning of this year.
Okay.
And that was actually quite successful. They asked for 9,000 euros, and they got like 30,000 euros.
That's the dream.
Bit more.
Yeah.
Because of it, they added also stages, I think bosses and more stages. I don't know exactly, but the scope of the game also got larger because of that money.
Is this made in GB Studio, Hermano?
No, it's not. Okay. No. They actually show when you start the game in what it's made, but I don't remember anymore.
All right.
So I don't know. But it's So it was very successful Kickstarter, and in the end it released. Let's see, I think.
Yeah, there was another Kickstarter that happened quite recently, wasn't it? Then it wasn't successful for a Mega Drive game. I think I backed it. I forgot, and I did a quick look of it as well. I was really sad about that as well. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah. There's of course there's Kickstarters which fail. I don't know why, because maybe promotion, or maybe it's just not the right timing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember the title anymore.
I think I also backed it. I don't know what game you're talking about, but finally released this game this year. Also a physical edition. I don't know if you can still buy that, of course, but it's on itch.io. It's 10 euros to buy. And
10 euros.
The game is if you look at the screenshots, you immediately see it's like a sort of platformer. You think it's like a traditional Game Boy.
What else?
Yeah, a traditional Game Boy platformer, and in a way it is. But I'll elaborate on that later. When you start the game, you see a really nice cartoon-style intro, really nicely drawn, of a guy who is mourning at the grave of his brother. And it was like, I think it's on the night of the dead, or the day of the dead. And there's normally at the night, the gates to the underworld will swing open, so that the dead can live again. So he is actually waiting at that grave for his brother to get alive again. But just before that happens, there's also, of course, a lot of other ghoulies going out of the underworld, and that brother gets kidnapped. And you see he gets kidnapped by a sort of dragon-like creature, or gargoyle maybe. And then you see the dead brother getting out of his grave, and he sees his brother getting kidnapped, and he says, like, Hermano, where are you? Please, come back. But yeah, that's your goal. You're the skeleton brother, and you have to save your living brother from the creatures of the night.
Right.
So yeah, it's really nicely told
story
intro sequence with a really beautiful animated, or it's not really animated, but the images are really beautiful. Like
reminds me a little
style.
bit of a Little Devil from the 1990s. Little Devil, I think it was written in the devil that's there on that screenshot. Where did you play it on?
I started playing it on the Analog Pocket.
Okay.
But I changed to the Mister, and I'll tell you later why.
Okay.
Because there is a reason.
The analog sucks. That's the reason.
Yeah. So when you start the game, when you start the game, you are greeted with a really nice chibi art style characters. Like the big, they have like really big heads and really nice cartoony big sprites. So yeah, it's really striking when you see it. The backgrounds are really beautiful, and you think, okay, this is just like a regular platformer. You walk from left to right, and when you press the action button, you shoot your head like a boomerang. Of your body, and when it bumps into an enemy, you do 1 damage to that enemy, and most enemies are dispatched in 1 or 2 hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, you walk around, and you get at a closed door, so you immediately think, oh, I have to find the key.
Yes.
So you have to explore the little levels, which are all free scrolling in all degrees, like in the x-axis and the y-axis.
Okay.
And yeah, you have to explore the little map to find the key, and then go back to the exit.
What do you know? A gated exploration game.
Not really, because you don't unlock new abilities.
Oh, right.
It's just finding a key in a level, and then go back to the door.
So your ability remain the same throughout the game?
Yes.
Okay.
What you can do is that attack with your head, and also you can pick up bombs. Some enemies will drop a bomb randomly when you kill them, and then you can, when you press up and your action button, can throw a bomb in an arc. You need those bombs to destroy some obstacles you can't pass. There's like sort of star blocks. You can, when you touch them, you get hit.
Yeah.
You have like 5 hit points, and when you 5 hit points are gone, then you're dead, and then you have to start the level over again. Yeah. So sometimes you have to kill some. You like that probably, Andy? That all the enemies are respawning really quickly.
No! Don't tell me about that.
But you have to, because sometimes you have to grind a little to get those bombs, and sometimes the enemies will drop health as well. So sometimes you need to do that, and if they are gone forever, then you can't pass those obstacles. So they had to do that, unfortunately, because I think it's a little bit too much in this game.
What do you mean it's too much?
They respawn too quickly, I think.
Oh, okay.
Which can be a little bit annoying sometimes.
Yeah. I totally get that.
But in a way, this game plays like a Euro platformer, like the old European platformers from back in the day on the Amiga, but also European developed platformers on the Super Nintendo. There were like a lot of exploration and like a lot of searching in levels to get to find your way. It's not never from left to right and you're done. You always have to find your way through those levels, and sometimes they are a little bit labyrinthian as well. So and confusing.
Do they have any secret levels?
Well, there's like are several pickups in this game. There's like bombs you can pick up. There's lives you can pick up. There's hearts to refill your health. But there's also, in most, I think, levels, there's a secret pickup where you can go to a bonus level. And those bonus levels are, the game changes a bit, your sprite gets smaller, and then you have to do some kind of challenge. For example, there's like a lot of bouncy blocks, and you have to pick up all the chili peppers. And you have to bounce without touching spiky obstacles. And if you die, you touch a spiky obstacle, then the bonus challenge is over. And if you succeed that bonus level, then you get like the slot machine. And if you have like 3 icons the same, you get 3 lives, and or else you get 1 life or something like that. So there's also a variation in those bonus levels, which is nice. So you think, okay, well, this is sounding very mundane, this game.
Like I was just about to ask you, where's the point? What's the difference between this platform and the others?
Well, first of all, I think it looks beautiful. There's a lot of different environments. Every level has other style, other backgrounds, and you feel like you're really on a journey through different levels. Every level, when you beat a level, you see like a map where you are on the map in your journey, and then you go into the level and it has a different style. For example, in the 2nd or 3rd level you're in a village, and in the 4th level you're in this desert, and the 5th level you're in the jungle. And there's also different enemies when you go with different enemy behavior in all those levels. But there's a really interesting mechanic in this game. I think in the 2nd level you jump down a big tower, and you go into the underworld. I think that it is. So you go down into the ground, and then there it's a little darker. And when you flip through that to that dark part, then the gravity flips. So so you're walking on the ceiling at that point. So you fall down the tower, and because of the velocity, you go into the ground, and you go on you walk on the ceiling at that point. So everything is flipped around, and
so you got your Game Boy, and it's the other way around. Is that right? So you basically play, and all the world is tilted.
Yeah, you could actually, when I think of it, you could maybe flip your Game Boy as well and play it normally. I don't know if that works, because...
and one of the questions you asked in one of the episodes was also, are the controls the same, or are they flipped?
No, it's when you're flipped and you press left, you walk left.
Okay, so they're not flipped, yeah. Okay.
You're not flipped, but I think in that way you can turn around your Game Boy. I haven't tried that. So anyway, that's a really interesting, surprising mechanic, I thought. And it makes you, like, the platforming gets different. Normally, you have to think about every jump when it's upside down, which is cool. And also, when you fall, you can also fall into the up world again. When you fall into a cliff, then you're in the normal world again, and then you have to walk around the whole map again to go on that tower and jump into the underworld again. Because
okay.
So it's really interesting, especially the enemy behavior. Some enemies are also on the ceiling, but some are still normal, and it makes the enemies different as well. Because you have to. For example, there's an enemy farther in the game, which is a spider. When you walk, and you see like a skeleton and some spider web on the ground. And when you walk to there, then the spider drops down from the ceiling and wants to eat you. So, but if you're on the ceiling, then the spider is just sitting there.
And you don't get attacked, yeah.
So the enemy behavior will be a little bit different, which is interesting. So that's one variation in the gameplay, but also some levels are not the same. So most levels are find the key and go back to the exit, but some are, for example, auto scrollers. So the screen scrolls automatically, and you have to platform quickly before the screen presses you off the platform.
And times. Yeah.
Also, further ahead, there's more of a puzzle room style levels. So you play room for room. So you have a room which is just a single screen, and you have to figure out a little puzzle with buttons. And then when you figure that out, you get to a new screen, and you have to figure a little puzzle again. So there's plenty of variety. So I really like that. But still, in the beginning, you think, okay, well, this is pretty mundane and actually maybe a bit boring. The music and the graphics are great, so that's
that
cool.
helps. Yeah,
that helps a lot to see further ahead. But later on, it gets really, really difficult, and those challenges are pretty tough.
I'm looking at some footage, some video footage, and some levels with the trees that you can jump on the branches, and it doesn't seem that easy to find the way that you need to go, because you don't really see very far from those branches. Sometimes in this video I'm watching, that it looks like the player is jumping into nowhere and then it lands on a branch somewhere else. So it looks
sometimes you have a little bit like the blind jumps because of the screen resolution of the Game Boy. And it's also very big sprite, so you can only do that much. But you can play it carefully and just don't do those big jumps. I think they're not. You don't have to do that if you. But you're probably watching my footage, right? I was really playing risky, so sometimes I just took the blind jumps. But sometimes it's really hard to find your way, and those levels can be very long. There's, for example, one level where you start next to the exit, and that level is a sort of spiral. So you spiral around the level, and you go like to the inside of the spiral. Sometimes you flip around, sometimes you're normal, and you jump around, and it takes like maybe 5 minutes to get the key.
Oh my god!
And then you have to go back all the way again with all the respawned enemies, and then you have to go to the door. And that's, for me, was the biggest flaw of this game, that there is not a lot of checkpoints. So for what I can tell, the only checkpoint you have is the key. So when you die before you pick up the key, then you start over at the start. And if you die after picking up the key, then you start off after picking up the key. But it gets really hard and sometimes very long to get to that key. And well, that's sometimes very tedious. Especially, this is also one of those games where you climb a level and you can fall down a level. And if you start at the bottom of the level and you fall down all the way down, then you have to
go all the way back.
It can be very easy to fall all the way down. And sometimes some levels are designed that way, that you have to climb to the top of a pyramid, I think. And there's like a big shaft in the middle where you can fall down. And it's really easy to get hit by an enemy and get stunned and get like stun locked down that shaft, and then you have to start the level all over again.
Oh my god!
That's pretty tedious, and I think that could be resolved if there were checkpoints where you can respawn to a point. Because sometimes it was really tedious. And okay, that's the reason, I changed from my analog pocket without save states
I see.
to my Mr. with save states, because this game also doesn't have saves. So, at all. Also no passwords. So if you want to play this game, you have to start all over again. And the first levels are pretty, well, if you played them, they're not that most exciting gameplay anymore. And then later, I think the later third of the game gets brutally hard. So you have to spend like an hour to get to that part, the hard part. Because it took me like 1.5 hours, maybe 2 hours to beat this game without saves. So...
well, it's not too difficult. If you manage to beat it in 2 hours without saves, it means not as long as I'd thought it would be, and then also doable.
Well, of course it's doable, but I only have like 3 lives, and you can pick up lives. So at the end, I had like 10 lives, I think, and I think you have 3 continues. So, and when your lives are 0, you have to. Like all levels are segmented, like there's like 3 levels in one stage or something, like 3.1, 3.3.
Yeah, I see what you mean,
so you have to start over that world. So like Mario, I think Super Mario Bros. did that as well. So it can take a lot of time, and then when your continues are 0, then you have to start over all again.
Yeah, that's hard.
I think it's a really long Game Boy game without saves.
Yeah.
2 hours to sit down with your Game Boy.
Yeah, because you have to do it in one sitting, don't you?
And you have to do it in one sitting. So, I don't know. I think this game needs save states or some kind of way of saving. Or maybe like maybe sleep mode or something.
Yeah, but I can see that, yeah.
It's too long to not have saves. And also, honestly, the later levels are too hard to not have saves.
Okay.
Because the challenges get pretty hard.
Yeah.
So, what to think of this game? I really liked everything about it, but it's I think maybe too long or too hard, or it needed a save mode, something. If it had like a stage select or like an overworld, like Super Mario World, or Wario Land on the Game Boy has that as well, that you can walk and select a level. And then go in that level again and again to try it. And maybe if you're down, your lives are low, maybe go to an earlier level to grind lives or something like that. Like the old Super Mario games.
It makes sense what you're saying.
That would be... And then the save feature, or maybe a warp feature. Maybe it's in there, but I don't know. That would be a huge upgrade for this game. Because... I really liked it. It
looks really fantastic.
It's really striking visuals. It reminds me of Kid Dracula. I don't know if you know that game. It's like a spin-off of the Castlevania series.
No, I've never played it.
It has a Game Boy and an NES version. And it also has like the chibi-style Dracula and all those Frankenstein monster and skeletons. And it's really beautiful. And it plays well. Maybe, the only thing is maybe when you attack, because you do that boomerang attack with your head, you can't walk while you're attacking. So when you attack,
stops, basically.
You sort of stop. So you have to get used to it. Sometimes you have to...
plan accordingly, I guess.
Yeah. So you have to get used to it, but it's not a big issue if you're used to it. But
you can't really do anything if you don't have your head, then do you? You can't really have,
Yeah, you can't walk without a head. Of course, you can see. So, would I recommend? Yeah, I would recommend this game if you have something with save states.
Tell us about the enemy variety. I'd like to know. Like, is there repeating of enemies differently shaded, or is there different enemies?
Well, when you transition into a different world, the enemy set gets differently. So
completely,
and also those enemies behave differently. So, for example, in the earlier stages, you have zombies which don't do a lot, but later you get birds who are flying and throwing debris on you.
I like it. It's poop, mate.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's poop.
Debris.
Later on there's ghosts we can't kill, but are going in a wave pattern to the screen. And there's actually, I think the site says it has 15 different enemies, which doesn't sound much, but
for the Game Boy.
It's enough. It's enough for these 15 levels.
So one enemy per level.
Well, yeah, if you see it that way, yeah. And there's also some boss. There's 3 bosses in this game.
How is the boss fight? How are the boss fights? Sorry.
The first one was I just DPS it, so I was just shooting my head into it, and he was gone before he could attack me. So I don't know what he was doing. But the other two, two were actually quite interesting and cool to figure out their patterns and you have to. Yeah, I died quite a lot, especially to the last boss. It was quite difficult and fun to find out how to kill it, which was good. The music. There's 10 tracks in this game, which is a lot, I think, for such a small production.
Yeah, I think so. But also, I don't know what sort of capacity the Game Boy cartridges have. So maybe it is a lot.
Depends a lot. But those chiptunes don't need a lot of rooms, of course. But really good songs. I really like that. Play it if you have something with save states. It's really fun. Beautiful.
€9.
It's very Halloween style. It's not scary though. I think it's like a 1 out of 10 in the scarometer. Scarometer?
Scarometer.
Spookometer.
Yeah.
Something like that. But it's just a cute Halloween style platformer. And give it a try. I think it even has a demo. So if you're not sure about it, play the demo. And what else? Support the devs for €10.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is there still a physical version? Oh, it's sold out. Limited standard edition is €55.
Gosh. Yeah. It's about the same price nearly everywhere. They have the physical cards about £50, €50, £50, 50 USDs or something like that.
It really has beautiful box art. So.
Right, yeah.
And even it has Super Game Boy borders, I see now. So you can play it in Super Game Boy as well with borders, which is cool.
Great. So, nice game.
Yeah, I really like that there is some variety in the mechanics of some levels. I noticed from this footage that there's some levels with these springs that can propel you forward, up. Or there's a level with a moving platform that you have to follow, so it just keeps moving along a predetermined path. And you have to follow it, but it was hard. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, especially because there's also those obstacles you can only destroy with bombs on your way. Mm-hmm. And those bombs you have to also somehow get in that scrolling stage. So some enemies drop bombs, but it's randomly, so you have to use them sparingly, which was quite difficult to do, because if you fall down, you're dead immediately. So
and you have to sometimes. So you have to jump off this moving platform at some points, because otherwise it would just move through enemies and they would hit you, and then you have to jump back. It's like a lift, an elevator or something that moves in any of the 4 directions, and it will just go on its own path.
Yeah.
But you can't stand on it all the time. You have to move out and then catch back to it, and to continue. So I like that idea. I think
it's I think one of the most difficult stages in that game, actually.
Yeah, I can.
And I actually love that it has quite a challenge, because in the start I thought, okay, this is getting boring if it's all the time, if it's this all the time. But those introductory stages are really baby mode. If you're in like level 5, it already gets a lot harder, which is cool. I like a little bit of challenge, but give me more saves and checkpoints, please. Yeah, it's maybe it's a bit like old. It's maybe a little bit too old school without the saves and just.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it needs to have some form of modern game design in it in order to be, for me at least, I'm talking for me personally, to be for me palatable and wanted to really play, especially if you've got respawning enemies and the levels are very long. Something similar for me reminds me a bit of what's it called? New Zealand Story. Very, very long levels.
Yeah,
I don't know if the ones I remember them so long, and then you die, and then you start from the beginning.
Yeah, it has a bit. Yeah, but I think that's also a Euro. No, that's not. That's a Japanese made game.
Taito,
right?
isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways, it's good. €9 if you want to give it a shot. It's not super expensive for the digital version. So, I mean, why not give it a shot? I think it's so good and difficult. I'll keep you busy for a long time.
And I recorded my whole playthrough, and it's on YouTube when this show airs. This show,
yeah. That'd be awesome. Thank you.